Today, we are diving into something pretty wild. AI designing 3D printers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Sounds futuristic.
it really does. It's happening right now. And to talk about it, we're looking at this fascinating article from 3D printing industry. It's about a company called Generative Machine. And get this, they're using AI to design an open source 5-axis FFF 3D printer.
It really is amazing to see just how fast technology is advancing. It's really something. When you think about the leap forward that 5-axis printing represents compared to the older 3-axis method,
Yeah.
it's a big change.
Yeah, for those of you who've been following 3D printing for a while, open source is a big deal.
Yeah.
Basically, the design is free for anyone to use, tinker with, innovate on. But what really blew me away is that Generative Machine is using AI to design the printer itself. They're using Autodesk Fusion 360 software.
Oh, wow. So the printer is designing itself.
It's kind of like that, right?
That's incredible. That's what's so amazing about generative design. It's not just tweaking existing designs,
Yeah.
It's about the AI exploring all these possibilities and optimizing for things like strength and efficiency. It can lead to designs that human engineers might never even think of.
Yeah, so instead of a human, drawing up the blueprints, the AI is kind of saying like, hey, here's the best way to design this 3D printer, given what you've told me.
Exactly. And it's not just 3D printers either. Think about it. You could use AI to design custom tools or parts that are perfect for your needs. It could change how we manufacture things forever.
Okay, let's get into the specifics of this 5-axis FFF printer. So for listeners who might not be familiar, what makes 5-axis printing so different from the 3-axis printers that are more common?
Well, the key is the tilting and rotating build platform.
Okay.
So the printer can build objects from all kinds of angles. This means less waste because you don't need as many support structures. And it opens up so many more possibilities for making complex designs.
And get this, the article mentions that they even 3D printed some of the metal parts for the printer.
Wow.
They did some post-processing with CNC machining for extra precision.
Right.
But it's still amazing that a 3D printer can basically build itself.
It really shows how advanced 3D printing has become. But this Generative Machine printer isn't the only company pushing the boundaries of 5-axis technology. There are a couple of other companies doing some interesting things with this.
Yeah, the article mentions a few others like VENOX from Austria. They created the VERASHAPE, which is a 5-axis printer that focuses on composite materials.
And there's also VERASHAPE. They're a company from Poland. They're known for the VS-Shaper 5AX. And they're really focusing on combining 3D printing with traditional machining all in one system.
That's fascinating. It seems like 5-axis printing is more than just a passing trend.
Oh, for sure. It's a major step forward for the entire 3D printing world.
In the article, Rick Reel, the co-founder of Generative Machine, talks about the possibility of self-designing products.
Self-designing products, what does that even mean?
I know, right? It's exciting and a little bit scary at the same time.
Yeah, like what does that even look like?
Yeah.
I know. And Generative Machine wants to make this advanced 3D printing technology more accessible to people who just want to use it at home. Imagine what that could do for innovation.
Yeah, if anyone could just design and print their own solutions at home, that would be incredible.
It really would. We'll have to continue that thought in part 2 of our deep dive.
Welcome back. So we were talking about Generative Machine's goal of bringing this technology to everyday people.
Yeah, and I want to know more about that. What could that even look like? I mean, would we all need to become like engineering experts to design our own gadgets?
No, not at all. Think about it. You could just tell the AI what you need, like maybe a special tool for gardening or a custom phone holder for your bike. And then it would just design it for you.
Yeah.
No more settling for something that's almost right from a store.
So instead of, searching online for something that kind of fits what we need, we could just design and print the perfect thing right at home.
Exactly. And with a 5-axis printer, you would get incredible precision and quality, especially because you could choose the materials based on what you're making.
Okay, this is starting to sound like science fiction again. But let's say this technology does become super common. What kind of impact could it have on small businesses or independent creators? The people who often can't find the specialized equipment they need.
I think the potential is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Small businesses could prototype new products. They could create custom tools for their workshops. They could even produce small runs of specialized goods. And they could do it all themselves.
Right.
This would make them less reliant on outside suppliers and speed up their whole production process.
And for independent creators, it would be amazing. They could design and print unique jewelry pieces or intricate home decor items, or even replacement parts for old gadgets, all from their own workshops.
Yeah, it would truly be a maker's paradise. It would remove so many barriers to entry and allow anyone with a creative vision to bring their ideas to life.
Oh,
But of course, there are going to be some challenges along the way.
Yeah, no, technology is perfect. What kind of hurdles are we talking about?
Well, one obvious challenge is costs. Five-axis printers are still pretty expensive.
So even though the designs are open source, the actual hardware is still a big investment.
Exactly.
Mm.
But we've seen this before with new technologies, right? The price usually goes down as more companies start making them and more people start using them.
Like smartphones and computers?
Right. We've seen it with earlier 3D printers too, so it's reasonable to think that five-axis printers will become more affordable eventually.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the learning curve? Even if the software becomes easier to use, designing for a 5-axis printer is probably still pretty complicated.
It's definitely different from three-axis printing, but I'm sure we'll see more user-friendly design tools that are made for five-axis systems.
So the AI can not only design the printers, but also help us design the things we want to print.
Exactly. Imagine a program that tells you the best way to position your model or automatically create support structures. And it could even simulate the printing process so you can catch any problems before you start printing.
That would be amazing. It would make it so much easier for anyone to use.
And don't forget about the open source community. As more people use five-axis printing and experiment with it, there will be more shared knowledge, online tutorials, and resources. That will make it easier for new people to learn.
So the more people use it and contribute to it, the more accessible and powerful it becomes.
Exactly. And this could even extend to schools. Imagine design and engineering students having access to five-axis printers in their classrooms.
That would give them a huge advantage when they start working, preparing them for a future where AI design and advanced manufacturing are the norm.
It's an exciting thought. We could have a whole new generation of designers and engineers who are experts in generative design and five-axis printing.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, let's talk about materials. Does 5-axis printing open up any new possibilities when it comes to the materials we can use?
Absolutely. One of the most exciting things is the ability to use high-performance composite materials. VENOX is actually exploring this with their VRX printer.
I remember we mentioned that before. Can you remind everyone what makes composite materials so special?
Well, composites are made by combining two or more different materials to create something new with better properties. For example, carbon fibers are really strong and lightweight. You can combine them with a polymer resin to make a composite that's both durable and flexible.
So you're taking the best parts of each material and making something even better.
Exactly. And five-axis printing lets you place these materials in very specific ways. You can align fibers to create super strong and lightweight structures.
That sounds cool, but can you give us a real-world example of how that might be used?
Sure, imagine making lightweight parts for airplanes or drones, or even for sports equipment. We could see bikes, tennis rackets, even prosthetic limbs that are way lighter and stronger than anything we have now.
Wow, the potential is huge. But what about the environmental impact? Could 5-axis printing with these advanced materials be better for the environment?
That's a really good question.
Oh,
And the answer is it's complicated. Five-axis printing can be more resource efficient because you don't need as many support structures.
and if you're using lighter materials, that could mean less energy consumption, especially for transportation.
Right, but we also have to think about the impact of making these advanced materials in the first place, and what happens to the 3D printed objects when we're done with them.
So it's not a simple question of good versus bad. We have to look at the whole life cycle of the product, from sourcing the materials to making them to what happens at the end of their life.
Absolutely. It requires a holistic approach. We need more research and development to make the production of these materials more sustainable. And we need better ways to recycle 3D printed objects.
So the technology itself is just one part of the solution. We need to be smart about how we use it and make sure we're being responsible.
It's a shared responsibility. We need collaboration between researchers, manufacturers, policymakers, and even consumers like us.
This has been a really eye-opening discussion. We've talked about the technical side of 5-axis printing, its potential impact on different industries, and even its implications for the environment.
Yeah, it's clear that AI and 3D printing are just getting started. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Before we wrap up, I think it's important to acknowledge that all this talk about AI and advanced technology can be a lot to process.
It's true. It can definitely feel overwhelming when we think about all the changes AI could bring.
Yeah. Earlier, we were talking about the idea that AI might replace designers and engineers altogether. I have to admit, that's a pretty scary thought. What do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely a valid concern, but we have to remember that AI is ultimately a tool. It's a powerful tool that can do amazing things, but it's still a tool.
So you're saying that even with all its power, AI still doesn't have what it takes to create truly groundbreaking, human-centered designs.
Exactly. AI can explore tons of possibilities, but it doesn't have the creativity, intuition, or empathy that humans bring to design.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But even if AI doesn't completely replace human designers, can it still lead to a lot of people losing their jobs?
That's definitely a possibility and something we need to be prepared for. Like with any big technological shift, there will probably be changes in the job market.
Yeah, but usually new technologies also create new jobs, right?
That's right. Think about the transition from hand-drawn animation to computer-generated imagery, or CGI. While traditional animators might have been worried at first, CGI actually ended up creating new roles and specializations.
So instead of replacing animators, CGI made animation even more powerful and created new ways for people to be creative.
Exactly. And I think we'll see a similar thing with AI in design. Instead of being afraid, we should focus on collaborating with AI, using its strengths while also continuing to develop our own unique skills.
So you're envisioning a future where AI and human designers work together, combining their skills to push the boundaries of design.
Exactly. Imagine an architect using AI to explore different structural designs for a building, but still using their own artistic vision and understanding of human needs to create a space that's both functional and inspiring.
Or a fashion designer using AI to come up with endless textile patterns, but still relying on their own gut feeling and understanding of trends to choose the designs that will actually appeal to people.
Exactly. It's all about using AI as a partner in the creative process.
Hmm.
It's a tool that can help us be even more creative and speed up the design process.
And this brings us to another interesting aspect of AI-driven design, hyper-personalization.
Ah, yes. The idea that everything from the things we buy to the spaces we live in could be perfectly tailored to our individual needs and desires.
It sounds amazing, but I also wonder if having everything customized just for us could actually limit our experiences and perspectives.
That's a really interesting point. If we're always surrounded by things that reflect our current preferences, it could create a kind of echo chamber where we're not exposed to new ideas or different ways of thinking.
Like we're trapped in a bubble of our own creation.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be curious and open to new things,
Hmm.
even if they challenge our existing beliefs.
So even in a world where everything is personalized, we need to make an effort to seek out diverse viewpoints and push ourselves outside of our comfort zones.
Absolutely. It's about finding a balance between enjoying personalized experiences and embracing the richness and complexity of the world around us.
That makes a lot of sense. It seems like navigating this AI-driven future will require us to be both thoughtful and adaptable.
Definitely. It's about embracing the possibilities, but also being aware of the potential downsides. Ultimately, technology is a reflection of our own values and choices. The decisions we make today will shape the future we create with AI.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of AI-designed 3D printers. It's been an amazing journey filled with fascinating insights and thought-provoking discussions.
It really has. And I think this is just the beginning of a much larger conversation about the role of AI in our lives.
Absolutely. A big thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as interesting as we did. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on future episodes as we continue to explore the ever-changing world of technology and its impact on all of us.